You asked what it's like to be a full-time YouTuber, and so today I answer all your questions, from making money on YouTube to working from home and time management and getting motivated, to quitting my 9-to-5 job to pursue YouTube, to sponsorships and all the different equipment and gear and skills that you need to start a YouTube channel. And I recently got one of these, which is the YouTube Silver Play Button Award for when you reach 100,000 subscribers. So I figured it was perfect timing. Let's dive right in. Feel free to grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and let's get started. In case you're new here, welcome. My name is Vera and I make videos on this channel about minimalism, intentional living, happiness and self-care, so definitely consider subscribing if you aren't already, if you want to see more. Let's start with working from home and managing your time and productivity. How many hours per week do you work? On average, I work between 36 and 40 hours a week, which is a little bit more than I used to work in my 9-to-5, which was 32 hours a week. And if I'm working on a specific project, sometimes I work a little over 40 hours a week. In general, about half that time is spent on creating videos for YouTube and Patreon. About 25% of my time is spent on creating resources like ebooks and my online course. And the other 25% is spent on all kinds of different things related to having an online business, like answering emails and comments, updating my website, bookkeeping, taxes, writing newsletters, etc. How do you manage everything else, housework, personal errands, family, with your work schedule? I keep a bullet journal that I use to plan my weeks, and it is absolutely essential for me. On the left, I plan everything related to personal things, meetings, family, house chores, all of that. And then on the right, I use to plan everything that I do for the channel that week. And so if I have something scheduled during the day, I usually work a little bit in the evenings to catch up, and then also I do a little work on the weekends. As a YouTuber, you don't really get that many days off. I usually work a little on holidays, I worked on my birthday, I work on the weekends. It is kind of part of the job, but you do have a lot more flexibility when it comes to how you want to divide your time. What is your productivity routine for work days? So I usually do a little meditating in the morning for about 15 minutes before I start working. And then I do some little house chores like unloading the dishwasher or watering the plants to kind of get warmed up a little bit. And then I just make a list of everything that I want to do that day and I get started. So let's talk about making money on YouTube. The first question was, does the money cover all of your expenses / what does it pay? While I'm not really comfortable sharing exactly what I make on such a public platform as YouTube, I can say that yes, it does cover my expenses and it is enough for us to live on when you combine it with my boyfriend's salary, and that is also less than what I used to make in my 9-to-5 job. Which doesn't bother me that much because money is not my main motivation for doing this channel. I have many other reasons why I love doing it, but I do of course hope to at least match my last income within a year from now. I do have to add though that we are able to live on a relatively modest income because our expenses are so low. We don't have kids, we don't have pets, we don't have a car, we don't buy unnecessary things, we live in a relatively affordable apartment, and all of these things do really help because I don't think that otherwise we would be able to live on our current income. So all in all, I work a little bit more, I make a little bit less, but I don't mind because while it may not be that glamorous, I feel like it is mine and it's real and it's true and I just love it so much. A lot of you asked, is AdSense enough? For me, it's not enough. If you don't know, YouTubers make money from the ads that are playing on our video, and for me it takes up about little over half of my monthly income. So while it is the most important source of income for me, it's not enough to live on. And if you are a huge YouTuber with a massive following, you get millions of views, then these people are actually making a lot of money on AdSense. But for smaller YouTubers such as myself, AdSense is not enough and we need multiple sources of income. So aside from making money with AdSense, I also do sponsorships. That's a source of income for me. I also sell my own Decluttering ebook and my own Simplify Your Life online course. So those sales are very important. And then I'm also on Patreon. So that is another important part. Speaking of which, if you'd like to see the exclusive videos I post there, like this one, while also supporting the channel, then feel free to join us over there. You can find it at patreon.com/simplehappyzen. How long does it take to get monetized? You need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours on your channel in order to be able to apply for monetization. And for me, it took about 6 months before I was ready to apply. And then it took another 4 months for YouTube to get my channel approved, because at the time there was a massive backlog at YouTube. So for me, it took 10 months before I was able to make any money from my videos. For me, it took me 2 years of working really hard on a channel and making almost no money before I was able to make a living at it. And that is 2 years of weekly uploads and putting just a lot of time and energy and love and care into it. And of course, it's different for a lot of YouTubers, but I actually hear a lot of people mentioning that 2-year mark. How does AdSense work? Do you have a choice in what kind of ads play on your videos? No, unfortunately, we do not get that choice. We can choose if we want ads to play on our videos and when, so like at the start of a video and then sometime halfway during, but we cannot choose which ads are playing and also not how many. Do you pay taxes on the income coming from YouTube? Yes, it's very important because YouTube does not pay your taxes for you, so that is something that you have to do yourself. And I always put away a percentage of my income right after I get paid, specifically for taxes. And I even hired a professional accountant to help me make sure that I do everything right. So aside from setting money aside to pay my accountant and pay my taxes, you also have expenses as a YouTuber. So you have the single purchase expenses, like for example your gear and stuff, but you also have monthly expenses, like for example my website or the platform that I use to host my ebook and my course. Also the platform that I use for my email marketing, so newsletters and stuff. I also pay for licensing for the music and the stock footage that I use. There's editing software that you have to pay and a lot more. All right, so let's talk about being self-employed versus working in a 9-to-5 job. First question, is there a point where you thought of going back to your old lifestyle/old job? Yes, there were definitely moments when I thought of it, because working for yourself and being self-employed can be really overwhelming and super scary sometimes. But in the end, I don't want that stopping me from doing something that I really, really love. And also I find that this life actually suits me and my personality a lot better than working a corporate job. So I don't really see myself going back to that. How do you continue to do it without getting demotivated working from home? How can you be so consistent every week? So a completely honest answer, I actually rely more on perseverance and discipline rather than motivation and inspiration, because motivation and inspiration, they come and go. And some weeks I feel like I'm on top of the world and I feel like I can do anything. And other weeks it just takes a lot more out of me, and that is normal. But discipline has always been a part of my personality, and that is what pushes me forward, and that is what I rely on. The downside of that though is that there's also a risk of burning out. So I do have a rule for myself that if I'm really not feeling it, then I will take a self-care day and start working again the next day. Do you miss having coworkers? Yes, I really do. It is the only thing I miss from working in an office job. So what I will do sometimes is just go to a coffee shop and work there so that there's people around me, because being a YouTuber can be a little isolating. And I'm also really happy that I have 2 friends who are also YouTubers who I'm often in contact with. Leaving a job to follow this path couldn't have been easy. How did you manage to do it? I think it takes a clear plan, and it could be different for everyone. For me, I decided to go full-time on YouTube when I actually wasn't making a full-time income on it yet. So I was about halfway there and I decided to go for it. I gave myself 6 months time to make it happen, during which we relied more on my boyfriend's salary and we also cut our expenses. And at the time, I actually wanted to start working part-time at another job, but it was my boyfriend who convinced me to really believe in myself and go for it and start doing YouTube full-time. And I did have to dip into my savings a little bit during that time. So having some savings in case things don't work out the way you want them to is very important, I think. Some of you also wanted to know about sponsorships. So first question, what are your thoughts on doing sponsorships? Sponsorships are an important part of my income, but I've always been very selective about accepting them. And I probably turn down like 90 or 95% of the offers that I get, because I feel that the product or service or brand is just not a good fit for my channel. And I feel like when it comes to sponsorships, you have to prioritize the long game rather than the short-term money that you stand to gain from doing a sponsorship. So I have 3 rules when it comes to sponsorships. The first is that I have to honestly support and believe in the company and their product and their service and believe that it could be of benefit for me and for my viewers. And second, I only accept sponsorships when they give me full creative control of the video, because I want the video itself to be exactly the same as it would have been if it wasn't sponsored. And then lastly, I always am completely honest and transparent if something is sponsored or if I'm using an affiliate link. Like, I have gotten sponsorships offers that were actually good money, but I have turned down because they were too controlling of the video and I wasn't supposed to say certain words, or the video needed to be about a certain topic that I didn't want to talk about, things like that. They are very controlling. Sometimes they give you a script of what you have to say word for word or things you're not allowed to say, and whenever it gets like that, I always turn it down. So let's talk about skills and equipment for being a YouTuber. First question, how did you learn the technical side, for example, filming and editing videos? So when I started out with YouTube, I literally did not know a single thing. And everything that I learned along the way, mainly from watching other YouTube channels about how to build a YouTube channel and how to make videos and how to edit and how to film and how to make thumbnails and all that stuff. And I also did some small courses. I bought a workbook that was very helpful. And I also watched a lot of Skillshare classes. I think if you want to be a YouTuber, you need to be open to the idea of continuous learning and continuous improving. And every time I uploaded a video, from the very first video that I ever uploaded, I took one thing from that video that I did not like about it and that I wanted to improve in the next one. And that is something that I'm still doing to this day. How do you get comfortable talking to a camera? So you just need a lot of practice. Actually, it took me hundreds and hundreds of hours of making videos and talking to a camera before I slightly got used to it a little bit. It's just very awkward and very weird in the beginning, but that is just something that you need to go through. Eventually, it'll get easier. How do you find confidence to share your voice? I think it's all about trying to be yourself 100% and always trying to be as authentic as you can be, because if you are always honest and if you're always yourself, that way you will eventually attract people who like you for you, and you never have to think that you need to fake it or be someone that you are not in order for your audience to like you and to continue watching your videos. What skills would you suggest to have? So when you are a YouTuber, there are so many different roles and there are so many different skills and elements to it. So for example, you are a writer, you are a presenter, you are a director of your videos, you're also a videographer, you're a photographer, you're an editor, you also are doing your own SEO, you're doing your own marketing, you're building your own website. I'm also my own customer service, so for people who have bought my ebook or my online course. You do your own lighting, you do your own color correcting, you need to choose your own music, and you need to be able to get your story across on camera. And there's just so many different skills that you kind of learn and develop along the way. And this diversity is one of the things I love most about it. What kind of equipment do you use? So I have everything that I use for my channel listed on my website. So I will place a link to that page in the description box below. And there I have all my gear, all the software that I use, basically everything. Do you do a script and read during the video? Yes and no. I do script my videos because I like to be to the point as much as possible, and if I don't script, I tend to ramble too long. And also, English isn't my first language, so scripting helps. However, I do not memorize it word for word and I don't read it off a teleprompter or something like that, so I kind of make it my own when I'm filming. Now let's talk about channel growth and how to grow a YouTube channel from scratch. When did you see your channel start to really take off? Was it a particular video or did it happen gradually over time? For me, it happened gradually over time. So there was never like a video that went crazy viral or that blew up. Some videos do get more views than others, of course, but it has basically been slow and steady. And there was never a moment when my channel suddenly started growing a lot more. I would love to see a video go viral one day, but the upside to growing your audience slow and steady is that I have a very engaged group of subscribers that are also more likely to stick by me longer than if I have one video where everyone came from because it happened to go viral. How did you take your channel from a few subscribers to many? Did you have another platform with lots of followers, or did it grow naturally as you posted more content? I didn't have another platform, so I started with YouTube from absolute zero, and it just continued to grow naturally as I continued to post more videos. I remember being very naive in the beginning, and I posted my first video and I was just sitting beside my laptop waiting for the views and the comments to start rolling in, kind of like it's out there, and now I only have to wait. And actually it took me 3 months before I got my first ever comment, and I remember it well. I was so happy with it. And I also remember like when my video had 3 views instead of 2 views, and I was like, oh, someone somewhere watched it. And then my boyfriend was like, oh, sorry, that was me. Next topic is about inspiration and getting ideas for videos. You make it look easy, but it's not. What are the steps you take from the thought of a topic through the editing of the video? I love this question. That's so sweet of you to say. I get so many different ideas for video topics, and most of them don't make it into videos because there's just too many of them. So what I usually do is I write them down either in my phone or if I'm on the go, or otherwise in my bullet journal, and then I just let them sit for a while continuing to think about them for a few weeks and kind of build on them in my head. And then if after a few weeks I'm still excited about the video topic, then I usually sit down and write a script and it becomes a video. Where do you get your video ideas from? What inspires you? I get video ideas in super random moments. So often when I'm taking a shower or when I'm out for a walk, somehow that is when my brain starts to come up with ideas. I also read a lot of books that give me inspiration, and sometimes I will see a video on YouTube and I think, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I can talk about that same topic, but from a different perspective. And also sometimes I do keyword research. So I try to see what people are searching for online, or what they are searching for when they find my videos, or what keywords seem to do well on other people's videos. And then I just kind of build a video around that keyword. Can you go to bed and chill, or are you always thinking about work? Is it work to you? How do you keep it from taking over your life? Yes, it's work to me, but it's also my passion, and because of that, it is basically on my mind all day, every day, and it's really hard for me to stop thinking about Simple Happy Zen. And I actually think that that is one of the most challenging things about running your own business. I do try to set boundaries so that it doesn't take over my life, and one of the ways I do that is by having 2 phones. So I have a personal phone and I have a YouTube phone, and I'm only logged into YouTube and Patreon and Twitter and all that stuff on my YouTube phone, so that when I'm not working I can just shut off the phone. And that is one of the things that I do to try to set boundaries and so that it doesn't take over my life, because otherwise it is very hard for me to shut my brain off and just chill. Some of you also wanted to know about privacy and having an online presence. Where did your desire to become a blogger come from? You seem to be a quiet person who would have a desire to protect your privacy. Yeah, you said that well, actually. Before I started YouTube, I never did anything online. I never had a social media account, and I am a very private person, especially when it comes to online stuff. But at the time I was going through a burnout, and it was a very challenging period in my life. And I remember feeling that the tools of minimalism and intentional simple living, mindfulness, meditation, these things were helping me out so much during that difficult moment in my life, and that made me want to share them with the world. And at the time I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I think that influenced my decision to pick YouTube as a platform, because I just found it so personal and human, and I figured that that was the best way for me to create a connection with people. How do you feel about putting parts of yourself out there for unlimited viewing? What is a comfortable degree of privacy for you? Like I said, I am a pretty private person, and I consciously choose to share certain things and not to share other things, to keep them to myself. And the consequence of that is that certain video topics do tend to get a lot of views on YouTube, and by not sharing that, you are missing out on potentially a lot of views. But for me, that is worth it, because in the end, I do need to feel comfortable with the content that I'm making. Lately, I have opened up a little bit more about my personal life in my videos here on YouTube, like in my 2019 recap video. And I also like to open up more and share more personal things in my Patreon videos as well. But in the end, I do think that there are topics that I will never make a video about, and that is fine, because like I said, I need to be comfortable with what I'm making. And if you are asking this question, then that goes for you as well. How do you set boundaries around the use of social media when it's a source of revenue? That is a good question, and you just have to do it. So I have several boundaries in place, and I think the biggest one is my decision not to be on Instagram, at least for now, so I'm not saying never. But I know that this is one of those things that it could help me grow my channel faster, probably. It could get me more sponsorships and all that stuff. It could be good for my business, but in the end, it doesn't feel right for me. So I made the conscious choice not to do it, at least for now. If I added Instagram to my already jam-packed schedule, it would mean even more work. And also, you cannot schedule your Instagram posts in advance. So you need to do it every day because you need to post something every day on Instagram if you want to grow there. So it would mean a lot of work. It would mean another place that I have to invest a lot of time and energy into. And I'm just not ready for that. Also, I am not the best photographer and I'm definitely not the best model, so it would mean a lot of studying and learning, which is not something that I don't like, but it would take away the time I now spend on studying and learning to improve my YouTube videos, and that has more priority for me. So this is another thing that I consciously chose not to do, because you cannot do everything and you can't be everywhere. Could you see an older person starting on this YouTube adventure, or is it only for younger people? I actually see a lot of older people being successful on YouTube, and I definitely think it's possible because there's a whole generation of people watching YouTube who are a little bit older and who would love to see someone their own age. Let's talk business goals. So, question, what are your views on business? Do you focus more on money and numbers or more on inspiring people? I think I've mentioned this before, but I am definitely not in this for the money or the numbers. That is not my main goal at all. And frankly, I think if I was in this for the money, I probably would have quit by now, because it takes years of hard work before anything starts to pay off in that area. And even now, I am still making less than I did in my 9-to-5 job. Starting YouTube was purely driven by this internal feeling that I wanted to do it, and I wanted to share my passions online with the world. I wanted to give people a place where they could go to chill out for a bit and to be themselves or to get inspired. And that is definitely what drove me to start, and that is still what is driving me to this day. Connecting with people is one of my favorite things about this whole thing, and I don't think that I would be able to do this if, for example, it wasn't possible for people to leave comments, and if it was only about me putting things out there and not seeing it reflected back from others. When do you call yourself successful? That is an excellent question, and honestly, I don't really know. I think there are so many ways to do YouTube, and even if you are doing it for a hobby, if you are really having fun with it, then I think that is successful. And for me, I think success isn't measured by money or the numbers, but more by the amount of fulfillment that you get from it. I feel successful because I'm doing something that I love, that I built myself on my own terms, and that I get so much in return in terms of fulfillment. And of course, I do hope that the money will follow naturally at some point, but it is not how I measure my success. And that's it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to everyone who submitted questions, and feel free to join us on Patreon if you'd like to see more personal videos from me. We also do regular bonus Q&As there. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below, and I'll see you next week, my friends. Bye bye!